go. Anywhere you look, you can find me on the low with my nose in a book, turning through the pages, reading through the script, about to hit a million words. Yeah, it's lit. Said it's lit. Yeah, it's lit.
Hello and welcome back to the 4th episode of the It's Lit podcast. Today we are doing
Awesome authors.
Awesome authors.
And who is our awesome author for today?
Rick Riordan.
Is it Riordan or Riordan?
I still can't pronounce his last name. I pronounce it Riordan.
I've always said that.
I feel like I went to Powell's a few months ago and they had it like Riordan or something.
Oh,
but
okay.
That just sounds weird.
I mean,
to
it's
me.
like Rio, so maybe it is Riordan.
I don't know.
Riordan.
We're not very good stands if we don't know how to pronounce the name properly. But we're going to talk about the awesome author Rick Riordan, and basically this came about because we wanted to have conversations about one of the books, and then we couldn't narrow down between the 5 series that he's written. And then we were like, oh, maybe we'll just talk about one of the series, and then we couldn't narrow it down between the series, and so we were like, how about we just talk about all of it? So I consider myself a Rick Riordan fan. You are 3 of the biggest Rick Riordan fans that I know. So we're going to talk about his series and the books that he writes, and we're going to talk about his style, and then we're going to talk about our favorite series, and then we're going to get into a little bit about almost like an Avengers assembling of a team of Thanos is coming to destroy the universe.
I don't know.
But who would be Thanos?
Yeah, huh?
Thanos is just a
Who would be Thanos? Gia or Cronus?
Well,
Definitely Gia.
I was just doing Avengers.
Gia.
She's much more powerful.
Yeah.
So just the biggest, baddest person out there, deity out there. What 5 characters from all the books are we taking to destroy said deity? So we're gonna go around. Who wants to talk about what Rick Riordan's movie style or like his writing style is?
Well, he takes a lot of myths from like Greek mythology or later Roman mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology, and in each series he has characters who discover that those myths are actually real and they are in some way connected to them, whether their parent is a Greek god or something like that. And he has them go on all these adventures and they encounter all of these different characters and monsters from mythology, and it's really cool.
So Emily, what are the series that you have read that he has written?
Well, I've read the main one, the Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the Heroes of Olympus, and I don't know how to pronounce the Apollo one. Trials of Apollo. Yeah, I've read that one.
Okay, and what about you?
I've read the first 2 ones that are like the main ones, and then I've also read 1 book in the Norse mythology one, and then 2 of the Trials of Apollo.
Okay, and then you are?
I've read everything except for the last 2 books in the Kane Chronicles because I barely got through the first book, and because I was disappointed that Percy wasn't there.
Okay. I have read Percy Jackson. I've read the second one, The Heroes of Olympus. I read Magnus Chase, and I am in the second book of Trials of Apollo right now. I, too, am a little disappointed in having trouble getting through that because Percy's not in it, and I'm a little bummed about it.
He was in the first one for like 5 minutes, and then he
he appeared for one scene.
But, at least he has a new baby sister, so, he's happy.
Oh, there's another 5 books coming about that. It is like, there's 5 more.
Another,
Adventures of Percy, Annabeth, and a little sister.
Right.
Yeah.
Tagging along.
Did you read the very first series?
Yes, I did. I'm a newbie, too, because I did not read it until last year was the first time I read. So
I read them in 3rd grade.
That's wild. So 5 years ago.
4th grade.
Yeah.
4 years ago.
6th grade.
A couple years ago. Yeah, so so here's what happened to me. 2017, 2018 school year, I finally read the Harry Potter series, and I obviously loved it, and that's a whole nother podcast. But then I was like, I think I'm ready for some more fantasy series type stuff, and I finally opened up The Lightning Thief, and I read that first one, and I was like, let's go. And I really appreciated that. And so I read all of that series and all of Heroes of Olympus in a row. And then this year I knocked out Magnus Chase.
I remember that. I spoiled one of the books for you.
Yeah, I know. I actually remember that too. And that's the problem with reading books like this in a middle school, because you're just walking around and all of a sudden somebody's like walking past you and you're like, oh yeah, and so dies. And you're like, dude, I know the book came out 5 years ago, but like I'm
Please.
100 pages into that book.
Yeah.
What are some other things that are like really characteristic of how he writes?
I would say that like there's certain books that are just so slow. Like Rick Riordan does do a good job describing, but he'll do it in like 1 or 2 sentences, and then like the action or the adventure or the drama, it's like way more focused on that rather than the color of someone's shirt, and I think the more fast-paced it is, like the better and more engaging it is.
I was gonna say that too. It's mostly like dialogue and action, and the dialogue is really funny, and then the action is most of the times weird, but like, and then you mix it together, and it just really helps.
Brings
you
it all
to-
together.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a level of goofiness and pop culture type of stuff that he'll throw in, where all of a sudden Thor is listening to a Beyonce album, and you're kind of like, wait a second, what's happening here? But I think his books have, in my opinion, gotten progressively goofier. I don't think the early Percy Jackson books mixed as much pop culture into them as much as they do now.
I feel like he like barely like kind of like put like maybe 1 or 2 things, and then he was too afraid, I guess, at
Testing
the very
the waters.
beginning. Yeah. And then now he's like, here's someone dabbing or something like that. Here.
Zeus is dabbing as he's throwing his lightning bolts.
Yeah.
And
there's
don't they even? And in Magnus Chase, they even make a reference to Thor being angry at Jesus, I think, and because they got in some sort of fight. And I think that he's definitely grown confidence in like delving into other stuff.
So this is the thing that's really interesting to me, and I think bringing Jesus up kind of brings that all in.
Yeah.
Is how the mythologies all seem to kind of
Intertwined.
Blend
intertwine
together.
and coexist, and it's always interesting to me where what's going on in the Norse mythology universe as Gaia or what's the Titan?
Kronos.
Kronos. It's like Kronos is going to destroy the entire universe. Like, what's happening with Odin and Thor and Loki?
Yeah.
Are they destroyed if
Well-
Kronos wins? And that's always been a fascinating.
Have they ever interacted besides Greek and Roman?
I don't think. I know Annabeth and Magnus have interacted,
Yeah.
and they're both like, "Yeah, phew, that's crazy that you got that going on. We
Yeah.
got this going on over here." And it's like I feel like both of those things would greatly affect. But I also appreciate, because I think Sam in Magnus Chase is a devout Muslim. She practices the Islam faith, and he does a really cool job of being like, yeah, these are gods, but they're not God. And it's cool how he balances and weaves through religion and deities and belief systems and stuff like that. And like she's a daughter of Loki, but she's also Muslim, and she also like praises Allah, and she prays every single day. She prays to the 5 times a day, and so I think that's a really cool like interweaving type of thing. What is it like when you guys read that stuff? Like, do you have questions along those lines?
It definitely raises a lot of like deeper thinking, but then the books just like move on so quickly from them that it's hard to like actually think about it. Like he just mentions everything almost just in passing.
Yeah.
Like-
like do the gods, like I know obviously like Greek and Roman, that's like a whole like different weird thing. But like do the gods like they're like aware of each other, and like gods that are like the gods of the same thing, I guess? Like are they
Probably because
Yeah.
the Greek gods are aware that they have a Roman side.
Yeah. That's
They're
true,
aware
yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
So
And it almost seems like they're aware of it, but
they don't really put that much importance
it seems like
to
the
it.
Greek side of them like blacks out when the Roman side becomes a thing, and then like the Roman side blacks out, and they're like,
Yeah.
I don't have any recollection of that. That was the Roman version of me.
they're kind of like two-sided, I guess, but they don't really know.
Yeah.
It's like they don't really like recognize that there's another like thing, I guess.
Right, because what's Hades in
Pluto.
Hades and Pluto? Like, remember, Pluto is kind of just like a real cool cat, and he's in the 1920s, and he's just real suave. And Hades, maybe it's just me, but every time I read the original book where Hades is the Greek version of himself, I think of the Disney movie Hades, and that is what I see the whole time.
And then you had him in the Percy Jackson movies, which I know I agreed not to speak of this, but he's like, okay, never mind. But like, he's wearing like a leather jacket and like acting all cool.
And that's
like,
and then he turned into
Count
some sort of
Hades.
like giant fiery thing, and it was really weird.
So, what is y'all's favorite series? Forgive me.
Go ahead, Nora. What's your favorite series of them all?
Definitely the Heroes of Olympus. And the original series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, is a very close second. And maybe even a few months ago, I probably would not have been able to decide between them because they're cool in different ways. But I feel like the Heroes of Olympus was the funniest, and it was kind of where he was at his best in his writing, and it keeps you the most engaged. And he introduces the most characters, and they're all really cool and really unique. And after that, he loses a little bit of that.
What about you?
Yeah, I would say Percy Jackson and what's the first one called? I cannot remember.
The Olympians?
Yeah, the Olympians. So I would say Heroes of Olympus because like there's a lot more plot and a lot of different things going on. But the last book of Heroes of Olympus, there is no Annabeth or Percy point of view.
Oh,
And that just kills
That bothered me.
because I love them so much. So I think Percy Jackson and the Olympians might be my favorite because, like, my favorite book's in there and Grover's in there. And
Grover's, like,
it's more like about the camp itself, and I think that's like interesting. I guess like a lot of the events take place at the camp, and I feel like that's like better, and I like that better. I guess I don't know.
Like setting the scene for everything.
Yeah.
I would go Heroes of Olympus as my favorite, but I think I agree with what you're saying in that Heroes of Olympus obviously cannot exist without the Percy Jackson series to go forth. My biggest gripe when I got to Blood of Olympus, I was flipping through the books. I was like, I have
same.
a Piper, I have a Nico, I have a Jason, I have a Reyna. I do not have a Percy or an Annabeth, and I'm a little hot right now about this.
Yeah.
To be fair, they do have, well, both of them have their own perspectives in at least Mark of Athena and the House of Hades, and Percy does in the Son of Neptune.
Yeah.
And after they had that whole first series that was mainly just focused on those two characters, and I really actually appreciated that he kind of moved on, and it was really cool to see inside Nico and Reyna's heads because they're really cool characters, and even though they're not part of the Seven, they're also really powerful, and like they do a lot to help stop.
And I totally give you that. I think my disappointment was just like, this might be my last Percy Jackson and Annabeth book, and I didn't even get to hear from them, from their mouth. I was a little disappointed.
Well,
but
they
I
did start the apocalypse with their nosebleeds, though.
Oh, that's right.
Percy.
yeah.
I would say
Well-
that's a pretty big part of it.
I mean, like all of the kids like got to like see their parents at the end of that book,
That
and
was
it was
nice.
so upsetting that Athena and Annabeth, and then like Percy and wow, I haven't read these books in so long. What's his name?
Poseidon.
Poseidon. Oh my gosh. And Poseidon, it was disappointing that I didn't really get to see their last interaction because other characters describe it, but they don't describe it themselves. So that was really sad.
What I kind of wanted in that book was like to get a perspective of all the characters in the book,
Yeah.
not just specific characters, because then we get to see how everything unfolded from all of their eyes. But
Yeah.
I get why Rick probably didn't do
Right.
that.
This is gonna be super tough to write.
It would be
9
cool if,
perspectives.
like, in 10 years or something, he, like, publishes an epilogue or something
Oh
where
my
it
gosh,
shows
yes.
where it shows
Yes.
where all of the characters are at that point in their lives. And I know that Jason wouldn't be there. I'm sorry,
Oh.
Mr. Dix. But
No, it's been spoiled.
Sorry.
But you would still be able to see, like, are the couples still together? Are they working? Are they just full-time demigods still fighting monsters? Do they end up starting families?
Right.
What is the emotional impact of all the stuff that they had to go through on their lives?
I imagine that the way that I always like kind of envision it, I feel like Percy. I can't imagine that Percy makes it to an old age, right? He's the most powerful demigod. You're going to be constantly pulled into battle. Even if he does make it to an old age in this universe, I feel like eventually there's going to be something. He's going to be like 65 years old and he's going to be pulling out his little pen that turns into a sword.
no.
And I just feel like something's going to eventually get him. But maybe it just ends.
He
Trials
was
of-
invited to be a god
Oh.
again. I
Yeah.
mean, I know it was like a big thing, like you'll never be invited to be a god. But what if he was? Like
They-
when
him-
he's like, 35 or something like
I
that.
feel like
He and
that
Annabeth both are just like,
Yeah.
y'all are gods now. So, Emily, what's your favorite series?
I gotta say Heroes of Olympus as well,
Okay, so we're pretty much in.
because I like that Rick is adding more cultures in there. Like you get to see
Yeah.
Frank, who is Chinese and
Hazel.
Canadian, and Leo, who's like Hispanic, and Hazel,
Right.
and all of them. And it's really nice to see the diversity between all of them.
I think touching on that, I think he does a really nice job as he's going. And I follow him on Twitter, or the Rowe Middle School page follows him on Twitter. And it's really cool to see people come back and be like, hey, I don't like this. I was like, well, if you don't like it, don't read my books anymore. I don't want people
Sassiness.
like you reading my books anyways. I was really surprised at the end of Magnus Chase when Magnus like falls in love with Alex and they have all this time and they're like holding hands when Alex it takes the form of a girl, and then Alex comes back and is like a guy, and Alex and Magnus make out, and Magnus is just like,
What?
Alex is a guy right now, but it's Alex. And I was like, whoa, I did not expect that to happen. Like, good for you, Rick. I really appreciate that. So I thought that was really, really cool that he does that. And I think he's been a lot better. In Trials of Apollo, Apollo talks about, like,
Yeah.
all
Oh,
of his
yeah.
past
All of his-
male partners and stuff. And I just think that Rick Riordan has done a really nice job, as you said, coming in and, like, bringing in cultures and bringing in Sam's culture and bringing in Leo. And you're just like, oh, this is great. There's a diverse group of demigods who are fighting these awful, awful beings.
Yeah. I'm glad that he didn't. So, this is gonna sound kind of weird, but there's some things where it's like they try to put too much diversity in where it's unrealistic. Because, like, realistically, if you're living in New York, there's gonna be a majority of white people.
Right.
And so, I mean, like, there's quite a few of the demigods that were, like, main demigods that were white, and then there was a lot of diversity. But I've seen books and movies that are just trying too hard to be, like, recognized as, oh, it's a diverse book. But then it's kind of unrealistic, and I think it's cool how, like, Rick Riordan, like, was really trying hard to make it really good, diverse, but he wasn't trying
It
too
seem
hard.
forced. It doesn't seem forced.
Yeah, it seems natural.
Yeah, I could totally get down with that.
In language arts a few months ago, I think they gave a few examples of books where there's like a main character who's male and is white and is like the main hero of the story, and one of the examples was Percy Jackson. And that made me really mad because they obviously hadn't read like the rest of the
Right.
series. And I think Rick definitely like kind of took the next step in Heroes of Olympus.
Yeah, but I can still understand too, where it's like it's very much like Harry Potter, where it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
your main character
Even
is just,
black hair, green eyes.
yeah, some straight white dude who's just saving everything, and then he has all of his like diverse sidekicks and stuff. So I can totally understand that perspective of, when you have something like a book that we talked about earlier, like Dread Nation, where you have a young black girl who is like the biggest, baddest, most awesome person. It's really cool to have like, yo, let's go.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate Rick Riordan moving towards that direction, and I think you're probably going to get more along those lines in the future as well.
Like me as a Hispanic, it's really hard to find books where people from my nationality are in the story, and when I do find them, they're too exaggerative. It's not believable, like Kiana was saying, and it's like, I don't want to read that, but Rick does a really good job in that, and that's why it's part of my favorite, because it's like, yay, I'm involved in something.
Yeah,
it's nice.
That's awesome.
Now we're gonna assemble a team of demigods, no gods, or just characters. They don't have to be demigods, I guess, and it's just gonna be like our ultimate fighting team that will defeat Thanos.
Yeah, we'll go.
They'll just defeat Thanos.
Okay, so Thanos or another destructive celestial
So basically the
Yes.
5 most powerful.
I guess
Or-
we're looking for.
Or like
my favorite.
How about we do? Let's do 7.
Yes,
Because that's the 7. The 7. We'll do
Yeah,
7.
7. Now I have to think of more.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I think we just start throwing. So
Collectively.
who do we have as a for sure? in
Percy,
Percy,
Annabeth.
Yes.
and Annabeth.
Well,
there? Oh.
I
you
don't
can
know.
never separate them.
Well,
Yeah, if they're
that's
Percy's
true.
there,
They don't
Annabeth's
really need
there.
to be separated
They're
if
separated,
Annabeth's
it's
not
not the
part
same
of the
thing.
team. But I probably wouldn't. Even though she's awesome and she has like a lot of cool abilities and she's super smart, but as far as most powerful goes, she doesn't have anything that would be able to use pure force against.
That kind
Some
of
sort
bothered
of-
me in the books, that everyone has these cool powers and then there's Annabeth.
Well, I think
And
that's
they
kind of
address
a
that in
good
the Mark of
thing,
Athena.
because like I mean almost all of them have like this like special thing about them, like, you know, Hazel is from whatever time she's from, and like, you know,
1940,
yeah,
somewhere
and then
around
like
there.
Frank can, you know, turn
Change
into
forms, yeah.
different things, and then Percy and, you know, they're all like, they have something special about them, and I think Annabeth just kind of being a regular demigod like helps it, because she like raises up to the standards and is like kind of the same as all of them, except for she doesn't have anything especially powerful about her, so then she makes it like her even more powerful, I guess.
I would say Piper as well. I mean,
Yeah.
she does have some, like, her charm speak helps them a lot.
Yeah.
And she can, like, speak in French. Not that that helps them too much, but, like,
It did help them, and I don't know
it did
where.
help them
In Quebec,
very
I think
occasionally.
that's where it's
But she also, and she expresses it too, where, like, she doesn't really have all of this, like, great power.
But hundreds of children of Athena have tried to go and defeat
Yeah.
Arachnid,
Yeah.
and no one has been able to do it. She's been the smartest of all of them, and I think that when you are assembling a team trying to defeat somebody, I think you do need someone to be the like
The
calm,
brains.
level-headed, logical.
Well, she also
smart
went through literal hell
yeah,
with
like,
Percy, so you know.
literal hell.
Drank
I-
fire makes sense.
Yep.
I have tough time separating Percy and Annabeth. I just feel like
Yeah.
they're
No
they're in.
separating.
All
Meant
right.
to be.
Annabeth's in.
all right.
Okay.
Percy, Annabeth, I think they are the two main characters
Yeah.
of these books. Annabeth even shows up in the Magnus Chase Chronicles
Yeah.
quite a bit. Percy's in there in book 3. So I think,
That one was funny.
yeah, I think those are my two for sure. Who else?
Well, I was thinking more of like you in the 7, and I guess out of the 7 too, you kind of have all of the elements. Like Hazel is earth, she has all of these like rock and gem abilities, and she can also use the mist, so she can like manipulate
Yeah.
people. And I think that Hazel should definitely be on there. And then
Leo.
we have like
Leo.
so we have like water and earth, and then Leo is like fire. And
then
Jason,
Jason
is
is
like
air.
air and
Oh.
lightning and all that.
We don't speak about that.
But I mean,
Jason is special too.
He's special.
I
Just in a different way.
I think you definitely need Hazel and Leo. I would take Leo, especially because you need someone to lighten the mood of the environment.
Yes.
And
If we were making an Avengers movie with all
Yes,
Percy
you need
Jackson
Leo.
characters, we
You
would
need Leo.
definitely need Leo.
Plus, Leo can make stuff, so that's useful.
Yeah.
okay, I like.
He rebuilt.
Does Festus count as a character, or is it?
I think
Leo and
Festus comes with Leo.
Festus-
Yes.
Okay.
It's a package.
It's a package.
Yeah, I think you get Festus with Leo.
Okay, we do.
Same way that
Good.
with Percy you get his sword.
Yeah.
I think Festus comes with Leo, so I think that makes it a little bit easier. So we have Percy, Annabeth, Hazel, Leo. I'm gonna go.
Nico?
How do we feel about Sam?
I haven't
Not
read that
Magnus
very.
Chase.
Yeah,
Look,
I'm not
Sam-
very familiar
I can't
with
say
Sam.
that. I'm sorry.
She's really cool. I mean, she also has shape-shifting abilities as well
Uh-huh.
as Frank. Are we having? Would it be her as a Valkyrie or her as a normal human?
I would say her as a Valkyrie.
Yeah. Then she would have, because if it was just her as a normal human, then it would basically be on the same level as Frank, I would say,
Right.
as far as abilities go. But as a Valkyrie, she does have extra, like, powers. And she can fly, too.
And she can
That's
fly.
nice.
She's really, really awesome. She does not take any crap, and she's probably the bravest one in that whole Magnus Chase series.
Yeah.
Her dad's Loki. She comes through, and she rocks it. But you guys have not read it, so we're gonna pick 8, because I'm putting Sam on there. Because
Okay.
Sam is, we can't all come to a consensus on that, but
5
just
to
trust
7
me.
to 8.
But trust me, Sam, I think
What
belongs on
about
there.
villains that aren't gods, but like they would turn good for this?
Okay.
Like powerful
You gotta give me
characters
an
that
example.
are
I like who-
against Percy and Annabeth. I can't. There's so many of them.
So you're
When
talking
you
like
said that, my
Medusa?
first thought was Luke.
No.
And then I feel like I'm going to cry now.
Luke isn't a villain.
But-
What about
Whoa.
the janitor inside of, what was his name? It was when they were in House of Hades.
Oh,
The
Bob?
really yes.
Yes,
the
can we do
huge
Bob?
giant.
I know he's a Titan, but like...
We'll take.
I
we
mean,
can
he's
take-
not a
but he
god.
turned good.
we
and
can take.
in the
We'll
end,
take Bob. He's a
Yeah.
Titan, but we can accept Bob.
Say hello to the
Yes.
stars for me.
And I would also...
Don't make me cry.
I would also add... Well, if we don't want to add Jason, can we add Thalia?
Oh,
I-
Because
yeah.
she has all of
Yes.
Jason's abilities, plus she's the
I-
head of the Hunters.
Can she fly?
No. I
Oh,
don't think.
or could she?
No, she's too scared to fly. Jason can fly, but she's never tried before.
Like, I still don't know how to pronounce her name.
So if she could
Thalia,
like harness
Thalia.
her flying abilities and get over that fear, then she would be extremely
I'm
formidable.
all with.
Plus, she comes
Thalia.
with the hunter, so
Yeah,
bonus,
and
added bonus.
That comes like right. The hunters come with Thalia.
Sure.
Solid.
That's her crew.
Added
So we have
bonus.
Percy, Annabeth, Hazel, Leo with Festus, Sam, Bob, Thalia with the hunters. We got one more.
Wait.
What about Nico?
I think
Nico.
Nico would
Well,
be
because
mine.
I mean, like he can control the dead.
Bring it on
And he
in.
can shadow travel.
He's my. I would have him.
And
I
he
would have him.
deserves to have his moment in the spotlight.
Yes.
I like this squad: Percy, Annabeth, Hazel, Leo with Festus, Sam, Bob, Thalia with the hunters, and Nico.
I think Nico comes with Will as well. They're
Nico does come with them.
Fair enough.
They're a pair. We're just like keep adding.
Right. Top 15. I mean, it's like. I mean, the Avengers kept adding
the whole
people.
cast.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
There's like 100 like
I know.
whatever.
Do you? It's probably we don't even want to get into that. Favorite characters.
Oh my god.
We don't have time. We literally have 2 minutes before the bell rings. So
Great.
Peter
So-
Johnson movies.
once again,
No.
No.
Nope.
here we have. This would be our team to defeat the big bad deity: Percy, Annabeth, Hazel, Leo with Festus, Sam, Bob, Thalia with the hunters, and Nico with Will. You get a little bit of shadow travel. You get a little bit of
Sunshine.
medicinal help and sunshine and stuff like that.
Plus,
go
Will knows
together.
medicine, so
Yeah.
we good there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have everything we need.
In all of the team, we're good. We're set.
So we recommend that you all read Rick Riordan books. Obviously, I would recommend starting with the very first Percy Jackson book, Lightning Thief.
I made the mistake of not doing that.
Oh, you didn't? What'd
How
you start
dare
with?
you?
I started off with the Son of Neptune because I thought that was the book that came after the Lightning Thief, so then I was confused, and then I had to go back to the Lightning Thief and start from there. So I
okay.
basically read the Son of Neptune 4 times now.
So we highly recommend that you read these books if you like stories where people come together with different powers and they come together and unite to defeat one source of evil. And I think that, so like if you're a Harry Potter person, there's the bell. If you're a Harry Potter person, if you're an Avengers person, if you're just a fan of mythology and awesome stories, adventure. Everybody want to say their name again?
I'm Kiana.
I'm Mr. Dix.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Nora.
Did we introduce ourselves? At the
No, we
No.
didn't.
Well,
We just
there you
started
go.
talking. All right. Yeah, so that was who we are. And
True.
forgot to do that at the beginning. So maybe we'll do a little thing. Maybe I'll record a little something for us at the beginning. But thank you guys. That was awesome.
All right.
Can I just put in something that in the first series, when Percy was about to pronounce one of the creatures' names, Annabeth's like, no, that gives them power. Second series, Gia.
Yeah.
No wonder she woke up. No wonder she woke up.
It's true.
No wonder she woke up.
Anywhere you go, anywhere you look, you can find me on the low with my nose in a book. Turning through the pages, reading through the script. About to hit a million words, yeah, it's lit. Said it's lit. Yeah, it's lit.